is finally time. Bethesda just dropped a bunch of new details on Skyrim's upcoming DLC that packaged with Skyrim Anniversary Edition. In this, we got a look at a ton of stuff. They released a full video going over the Anniversary Edition and some of the free stuff on the way. And the breakdown here is actually pretty important because throughout the video, they show off a ton of things and don't really explain it. It's just visually shown to you and you have to kind of digest and decode what you're actually seeing. And there's a ton of new content here and a ton of new content to get excited for. Although before we get to that, I do want to tell you about something that, at least for some of you, is going to genuinely improve your day-to-day PC experience, or at least it has for me, and that is today's video sponsor with Opera GX, which is a web browser with specific tools designed with PC gamers in mind. So I know some people out there, including me, have a problem. We open way too many tabs and just don't close them. They're like, oh, I should probably read that later, or, oh, I'm compiling a list of mods for a future video. Let me just leave these 17 tabs open while I try and do other stuff. Well, Gxcontrol allows you to dynamically limit the amount of CPU or RAM your browser is currently using. You can turn this on or off on the fly and set the different levels depending on what you're doing. And if you're playing online games, there's also the network limiter, so you can avoid things like high ping and limit the amount of bandwidth your browser is using. And trust me, on the tab front, this is a massive improvement from what we had with Google Chrome. But okay, maybe you don't have a tab problem, but you probably like music, or at the very least talking to people. With Opera GX, you can log into websites like Twitch directly, get notification when a streamer goes live, or even things like Discord if you're trying to keep up with conversations while doing other things in the background, or even potentially spend way too much time on Discord when you should be doing things in the background. But when you finally get around to being productive, it also has GX Player, which allows you to log into your favorite music streaming service with support not only for Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube Music, but several others. So if you like what you see here, you can use my link in the video description to download Opera GX. It's completely free. And if you really love what you see here, Opera GX is also available on mobile, and it's definitely worth trying that one out too. So November 11th, Skyrim's getting a bunch of new content, and one of the first things that's going to really just come to everyone as a free update are 4 creations. 3 of these were things previously released in Creation Club, so you could download and buy them already if you're impatient. And that's basically just Saints and Seducers, Rare Curios, which was a part of Saints and Seducers, as well as the survival mode, which actually was free at some point in the past. I'm not going to dive super deeply into them, I've covered them extensively on the channel, but we did get a bunch of new features about the 4th and new free thing that's coming, that with fishing. So Bethesda describes here how fishing in Skyrim is actually going to include 20 unique fish species. So there's going to be a wide variety of different things for you to catch, with some of them probably being on the more rare side. One of the core components of this is the ability to actually eat those fish if you're into that kind of thing. Alternatively, you'll be able to display these fish that you catch as trophies, and there's a couple of different methods to do this. Just the typical displays themselves. One actually almost looks like some found driftwood, the other one is just a pretty typical board, or there's actually aquariums coming with this that you could also have set up in some of your homes, which is pretty cool. You can see all the different fish species swimming around. It doesn't really look like you could mix and match too much, but either way, definitely a nice addition with this. We also see throughout the gameplay there's going to be different types of fishing poles you can get, and a decent variety there, but there will also be some quests with fishing. I imagine at least some of these will be the bare bones basic quest, depending on how many there are, but they share this teaser of one that actually looks pretty interesting, like some kind of large disturbances there. Maybe there's some kind of larger fish or even a shark or something that you can get as a one-time quest reward, or a special fishing pole as a one-time quest reward, and even this new fisherman outfit that is coming. And although that's just one of the 26 new creations on the way, it really does kind of showcase that Bethesda seems to be going a bit more in depth with this content. Over the lifespan of Creation Club, they got better at kind of fleshing things out, adding in more natural ways to start the quest or actually find the item. And here, although in the past I feel like they may have just gone for the super simple, okay, you're just gonna fish and that's the whole thing, keeping it relatively simple, adding in things like a quest, aquariums, a new outfit, a variety of fishing poles does kind of feel like they're taking it at least a little bit further. And again, this is completely free for everyone, so if you like what you see here, you'll be able to just download this on November 11th, or alternatively, you will be able to purchase Skyrim Anniversary Edition, which is going to include all of the previous released Creation Club content. So if you missed out or didn't buy it in the past, you can get that, and it's going to include a ton of new stuff, 26 new items in total. And one of the interesting parts about this is you actually will be able to purchase these individually, it seems. As on their recently released article, they do say players may also purchase these creations individually upon release if they so choose. So it seems like Skyrim Anniversary Edition, which if you own Skyrim Special Edition, you'll be able to upgrade to Anniversary Edition for a reduced cost cost, seemingly. Or if you don't want to buy Anniversary Edition at all, you could actually just go onto the Creation Club, it seems, and just buy the individual items, including these new ones when they're added. Or at least that's how I'm interpreting all of this. The Anniversary Edition will be it all bundled together, and it'll probably be cheaper to buy it all at once. And just as an aside, before we actually start diving into what is getting added, they mention how both the old and new Creation Club quests don't just initialize on startup anymore. This used to lead to quest spam when you just first start the game on a new character after adding new Creation Club stuff. Now you're going to organically and naturally just encounter the new content wherever it spawns. Or if you want to go to the store page, you could check out where you have to go to find it, which is really nice. I feel like that's one of those things people are complaining about for a while. It's nice they're taking steps to actually rectify that. With that said, a few of the bigger ones Bethesda actually took the time to explicitly describe in this video. We are getting Ghosts of the Tribunal, which will give you the ability to get dozens of weapons and armors that previously appeared in Morrowind. A ton of these are just pictured as they're talking about this and sometimes scattered throughout the rest of the video. There isn't necessarily a ton to break down with this. They look incredibly cool. There's also sometimes armors or things that pop up and it's not clear, okay, is this a part of this or something else? Although one thing of note is later we get a little clip of the Bow of Shadows in action, and this will almost certainly be contained within this creation. And as you could tell, this will allow you to go invisible as well as actually give you a speed boost each for 30 seconds. So pretty cool. It definitely seems like this will be a cool, almost like armor slash weapon pack coming to Skyrim, and thematically it seems like it's going to be pretty nice with some new things to face off against. But then also one of the other big ones, and one that actually had some really cool clips associated with it in this trailer, The Cause, which is around the Mythic Dawn who are trying to form a new Oblivion Gate in Skyrim. This is going to feature totally new enemies. We get a pretty good look at many of these throughout the trailer, including what looks like some interesting ones. Naturally, with some of these enemies, you're going to be taken to new locations, which this will also feature. New weapons will come with this, and even a completely conjurable Daedric horse that you can get. We saw this numerous times throughout the trailer, and in particular with this shot where it's kind of jumping across screen, it looks really cool. Obviously, there's a ton of horse mods, many doing something very similar to this one, but as an entire package, it definitely seems like this is going to be an interesting quest-based experience with a bunch of extra and added new things. And speaking of new things, there is one thing that was explicitly mentioned but never actually described, and after tearing through this trailer and watching a bunch of other people tear through the trailer, we can't really figure out what it is. But Bethesda says in their article, players will also be able to enjoy an all-new batch of creations, including new ways to play. And in the trailer, they mentioned new modes coming with this new batch of creations. And I'm not super sure what that means. Obviously, there's survival mode. That is a whole new mode for the game, affecting basically an entire playthrough. So immediately my thinking goes to something like that, but it's not really clear what they could do that would be similar or an entirely new mode in Skyrim. Just looking at Fallout, one of the obvious choices could be something like a weapon degradation system, which could be interesting. At one point in the trailer, we have what looks like a fight in an arena of some kind, and we could see this gladiator armor actually represented here, and we see it a few more times throughout the trailer. Could there be some kind of arena-based mode? Fallout 4's Creation Club did something like that, where you basically have a horde mode where you take on waves of enemies. That could definitely be interesting in Skyrim, especially if there's some cool rewards or if it's really introduced as a fairly fleshed out thing with cool prizes. But based on the trailer, it doesn't really seem like that would be the case. We just get this one shot in an arena and we only ever really see this one armor that would be tied to it. But a few of the other things shown off that we definitely can confirm and lock down, we could see some kind of very large skeleton being conjured. This is almost certainly going to be a part of Necro Arts. When new Creation Club stuff is added to the game, it's added to the Skyrim.ccc file, and sometimes things are added before they're actually released. So all the way back in 2019, when we got our last Creation Club release, Necro Arts and Necro House were in the file, and it seems like we are finally, after years of waiting, getting a look at what Necro Arts will be. It seems like he'll be quite powerful because it looks like this skeleton spawn will actually have his own shouts, which is pretty awesome. Later on, we get this brief look at what is assumed to be the Necro House that is mentioned. Super tiny picture, but that's what we have thus far. We can see a bunch of Redguard warriors, or what are assumed to be Redguard warriors. This could be a part of one of those other larger DLCs or fit in somewhere else, but it also could just be a standalone weapon slash armor set. And then when we get these little image sections where they kind of flash a bunch of images on screen, you could break down some of what we're seeing here. A few are pretty clear, like you could see a bunch of these are just armors from the Elder Scrolls Blades. That's a thing Bethesda's done a few times now, where they just basically port over armors that were in the Elder Scrolls Blades to Skyrim, but some do end up looking pretty cool. One that stood out to me was this tree with a wolf. It's super small and it's kind of hard to make out what this is. Is it a quest location or maybe just something as simple as a painting? There's this new Daedric sword that looks pretty cool. We could also see this windmill, which might be a farmstead of some kind. This definitely has the potential to be a bit larger. Maybe a new player home you could get with this. A bunch of new gauntlets, some on a person, some on a table. Perhaps unarmed becomes a functional thing in Skyrim that could also tie back around to that new mode, kinda. This awesome looking skull helmet. We're almost certainly getting a new spider pet, as well as it looks like this might be the ice blade of the monarch being held by the player here. We can see web mothers from the Elder Scrolls blades at some points throughout the trailers. And in one of the clips, we see a couple of new staffs that look really cool. Overall, this is probably not quite a comprehensive breakdown because there was just so many little details all throughout this, but it's definitely a good overview of some of the major things that were teased. Even further, Bethesda has confirmed that there'll be more teases coming. Skyrim Anniversary Edition releases in about 2 weeks now, so they got time. So rather than completely destroy my eyes trying to squint at all of these small details, we'll probably get full write-ups like they have done in the past with Creation Club stuff over the next couple of weeks, and I'll definitely be covering that. Even further though, one of the things that is mysteriously not talked about here is the price. Because at this point, we still have no idea how much Skyrim Anniversary Edition 1 will actually cost, and then 2 will be to upgrade to if you're an existing Skyrim Special Edition owner. And now, of course, we just got the reveal that seemingly you'll be able to buy many of these items as a standalone purchase. So you have to assume for some people, the Ghost of the Tribunal looks pretty cool. I think a lot of people will be interested in that, but maybe not everything else. If that's only $8 or $10, depending on the size of it, maybe just buying that and not Anniversary Edition overall is the way to go. But again, we don't really know the pricing, how much it'll be priced to buy Anniversary Edition and everything together versus these individually. Either way, I definitely am excited for this. I know not everyone is, but for me at least, I think it'll be interesting to dive into it. It seems like there's a decent amount of new content here. Obviously, I just want to know how much it's going to cost. And even further, if you haven't seen my past video, there is going to be some issues here, as mods will break and potentially break over the longer haul. There's some more fundamental changes coming with this update, coming to Skyrim Special Edition. Even if you don't buy Anniversary Edition, some of your mods, if you're on PC, will break. I made a full video that I recommend checking out. There's just a list of mods that will break posted on Reddit. So obviously things like the script extender, but also DLL based mods, ENBs, Sky UI, etc. So we're gonna have to wait for some stuff to be updated. Backing up and making sure things don't break on November 11th if you don't want them to is gonna be important. But again, that's only for PC users. If you're on consoles, you're completely fine. But with that said, that's definitely our first real look at Skyrim Anniversary Edition. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think this is worth upgrading to? Or you're like many other people who are just like, nah, we've had a decade of free mods. A lot of the stuff has been modded in one way or another already. For me, I've always enjoyed Bethesda's Creation Club stuff, even though at times it was definitely on the pricier side, but I have a feeling this time around with Anniversary Edition being a thing, it being so many things released at once, the price may not be as bad as it was when they were selling them individually, although of course it seems like they will still be selling them individually. With that said, hopefully you found this informative. As always, I thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.